This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com. Thanks for downloading Grilled by the Staff Canteen. I'm Cara, editor of the Staff Canteen, and in this episode I spoke to Neil Bentinck from Skosh in York. We talk about the current coronavirus pandemic and the effect it is having on his business and the hospitality industry. Just a note that this was recorded before the latest government announcement about covering wages to allow employers to keep their staff. So the topic is slightly different, but it's definitely worth listening to. We also spoke about Skosh and how successful it has been, accolades Neil and the team have been awarded, and what he believes the key to its success is. So today I am in York. I'm in Skosh with Neil Oh my god, I knew I would do that. How do you say it?
Bentinck.
Bentinck. Oh my god, because I've asked you, that's going to be in my head now. With Neil Bentinck. So thank you very much for talking to me today. Obviously, very, very strange circumstances. So let's start with yourself as a restaurant owner. When you first thought that coronavirus might have an impact on you and your restaurant?
When did I first think that'd happen? Probably only last week. I think it's come around incredibly quickly. We didn't notice any drop-ins in bookings until the announcement by Boris Johnson on Monday to avoid going to restaurants and social activities. But last week,
considering that everything that's been going on last week, do you think that was soon enough for you to register that or not? Because do you think maybe in the back of your mind it's been there, or did you just think it wouldn't get to this point?
Oh no, in the back of my mind, yeah, definitely. But it seems to have really accelerated because of Monday. But yeah, I didn't think it would happen after everything you saw in Italy and how it spread. I mean, you just can't avoid it. The pandemic, you can't avoid it on social media. It's exhausting, to be honest.
And before Monday, you obviously said that you were full on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
we are a busy little restaurant, so which I'm very grateful and fortunate for. So we didn't really see an effect. No.
And we talked off this, but about social media in the build-up to Monday. Had you noticed people talking about it and how the effect it might have on the restaurant industry before Monday on social media, or was it just Monday where it really blew up?
I think there were murmurs because they were maybe suggesting it very loosely, but I mean, it's all kind of a blur, to be honest, the last few days. But no, I think Monday definitely, when that statement came across, it was a real kick in the balls for restaurateurs. But also it's a knock-on effect. I mean, it's not just restaurants, is it? It's people who supply the restaurants. It's everything. It affects everybody.
So what were your first thoughts with that announcement from the government advising people not to go out, basically, but then not telling anyone in the hospitality entertainment industry to shut down? It
was kind of anger and a bit of panic, really, of what do we do. I know that a lot of people are saying they could claim on the insurance if they were told to close, but I don't think that's the case anyway. I think it was more a fact that they announced it quite bluntly to not go out, which essentially knackered an industry. But it was the next day when they gave financial aid, so I just think they're dealing with it step by step, and that's getting filtered down to us. So the financial aid that came out yesterday, Tuesday, will be a massive help, but still, it's still a grey area. It's now morally, do I keep trading?
Yeah.
That's the issue, which a lot of restaurants have shut now.
What's the thoughts among your team over the past 2 days? You obviously must have discussed it. What are their feelings on it as people who work within the industry?
Well, we've been shut for a couple of days, so
not because of that, though.
No, sorry, just our normal closures. Monday, Tuesday, we're closed. Monday, Tuesday. So I haven't really spoken to them. Sent a couple of messages out, just more reassuring, because there's a lot of media activity and a lot of gossip as well. So just reassuring them that if and when we have to close, that I will support them. Statutory sick pay is not enough for people to live on, so I'll contribute more than that. And I won't be making anyone redundant. I won't be cancelling 0 hours contracts. I'll keep staff in place and look after them until we get through this. So that's how I've spoken to the team, and they're all quite happy. It's trying to get the chefs to stop prepping. That's the hardest thing. They don't seem to understand that there's not. We do 100 covers a day, and now I think we've got 30 odd booked today. Yeah. So
still, that's not a bad number considering what's going on. And you said
it's ridiculous. It's mad. Yeah.
And so you said when that announcement came out, what in terms of cancellations, what happened there with you guys?
On Monday, I think before the announcement on Monday night, there was a few cancellations, but from Monday evening through to Tuesday evening, there's probably about 50 cancellations over the next few weeks.
And how do you feel when you see 50 cancellations?
It's shocking, really. It's not unexpected, but it's shocking. It's almost like, great. Don't know. It's sad. It's quite sad, really. Yeah. No,
it's very sad. And so, since that initial announcement, has the bookings continued to drop off? But then, obviously, said you've got 30 booked today. So
the bookings are being cancelled, but we still got quite a lot on Friday. We're not far off full on Saturday, but again, the government might announce something and that might have a knock-on effect. So I'm expecting the bookings to keep going down. Not full, but Mother's Day on Sunday, that's very quiet because people I don't think want to take their mothers out. But I expect them to keep going down, imminently.
You mentioned morally staying open. So if you're not told to close, how do you decide morally when the right time is to shut for you and your team?
Morally, I'm thinking a lot of restaurants have already made the decision, and it's out there. We're closing to look after our staff and our customers who don't think it's right, and that's just what's preying on my mind massively. And I think it's gonna happen soon. I'm gonna make that decision, I think. Yeah.
And I know we spoke about this just now, but when you choose to close, in your mind, how long are you closing for? Have you got a time scale that you think you're possibly working to?
2 months, maybe. I think the imminent closure would be morally more the fact of schools. Schools are starting to close some classes, and that's obviously going to happen to my kids. 5 and 2, so they're not in like proper school, but the education system is gonna, and nurseries, and that's just gonna stop as well. So when they're at home and I'm at work and taking cancellations all the time, it seems wrong. So that would definitely be a pivotal moment, and I put it down to hopefully 2 to 3 months. I think just looking at China, kind of people going back to work after 3 months. So if we're in month 1, so to speak, that's how I look at it. And if we've got more information from the countries that it's affected already, we might be in a better position to get through this, potentially. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. No one knows. That's the problem. We're all in limbo. Obviously, you're in a position where you can close, and you said you can still support your staff. You don't have to let anyone go. What are your thoughts on restaurants that maybe are not in that position? It's very tough. Restaurants that are in that position, I don't want to say anything that would upset anyone because everyone's situation is different, but I think some people that may let staff go with the opportunity to come back is probably how some restaurants would do it. I think mainly, I can just comment on Skosh, is we're a small restaurant with a small team, therefore we have, I suppose, less
liabilities, so I can look after my staff to a certain degree, seeing what the employee scheme will be, and assisting and supporting them so no one loses their job. That's the main thing. No one loses their job. So to comment on other restaurants who are getting rid of their staff, it's such a hard decision, but I'd like to think they'd offer them their job back when they reopened. It's not going to be forever, maybe. Yeah.
It's really tough, really tough. And like I said, you're quite lucky that you are not in that boat. So, however, I mean, York is a tourist city. So what's the kind of vibe with people coming in and like around the city? It's noticeably quieter.
Yeah, it's noticeably quieter. But like I say, we still have a lot more people booking than I thought we would. But we have a lot of locals, a lot of residents, probably a lot of British mentality of, keep calm and carry on and just get on with it, really. But then that's fine and well and good, but then it comes back to the moral code of how long can I do this for? But it's definitely noticeably quieter. It's sad, really. I do worry about places, little cafes, and not even hospitality, but shops, butchers, little neighbourhood spots that really tick over, like, just month by month and living off what they can. But then the government have put schemes in to kind of help them, to give them grants so that businesses don't go bankrupt. So we've just got to be really, really not clever, but just play it by ear and assess things day by day and just do what we can to stay in business, really, for everyone. Not just hospitality, it's affecting everyone.
Yeah, well, we said about the knock-on effects, so maybe let's talk about that for a little bit. But you said, suppliers and their produce, and I think you mentioned asparagus, and you're like, there's loads of asparagus that no one's going to be buying. So it might seem to some people, maybe to some people, but not if that's your business.
Farmer. Yeah, I did think that last week, think about what to do with asparagus, and then now it's like, well, if it's growing, I mean, could they sell it to the supermarkets? But then the supermarkets would have their own trade kind of arrangements already. So all the stuff that's grown, for local restaurants and suppliers, where's that going to go if no one's buying it? So the knock-on effect is massive. Fishmongers, it's bizarre. It's really, it's sad. It's just so sad, isn't it? People are growing things with their hands and making things, and they can't sell them. And they're just stuck in limbo. Everyone's in limbo.
Have you spoken to suppliers? What's the kind of what have they said? What's their thoughts on things? What are they doing to kind of batten down the hatches and get through the next few months?
I haven't heard a lot, to be honest. I think it's they're just playing it by ear and day by day seeing what happens. I know the fish suppliers are thinking it's pretty tricky because a lot of the boats aren't going to go out, so the things are just going to dry up. But it's kind of carrying on. It's just carrying on to a certain degree, because people have got to keep trading to make money. But when you need bums on seats like we do, that's eventually going to dry up. So, crazy times.
And so, what's the financial impact for you guys to close for 2 months that you can talk about? So have you thought like that far ahead? Like you must have obviously a plan in place and stuff for a small independent business. What's the impact? I know you said obviously you can come back and you are thinking positive. You're not going to close and that's it.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that kind of side of it?
Thinking positive. 2 to 3 months, come back, keep trading, and positively people will be. Can't wait to go back out and have experiences that they've not been able to. They've been taken away from them for a while. Financially, without any figures, like I say, staff will be covered. Whether that's on full salary, I don't know. I don't know if the government will assist with that or we have to do that. Obviously, statutory sick pay is like £91 a week, which is nothing. So I don't want to quote anything because but like I say, I'll support the staff. No one will lose their jobs. That's a fact. With regards to utilities, again, the government are giving grants, I assume, to help pay for those. Rent, individuals have to speak to their landlords about rent and come to some agreement, I'm sure. But there's lots of contracts in place for, bins and whatnot, just usual, everyday today facilities that'll have to keep being paid. But again, I believe that's why the government are just putting grants in and to assist in that matter. And what was the other thing? I can't remember now. There's a few points. The rate relief, so business rates were not payable for 12 months, which is a bit of a help as well. It is a help. I think that's 51,000 and below. But then, what about the bigger places or places that have more expensive rates? How? Again, I'm not in that bracket. I'm in the 51,000 and below bracket. So, what about the ones that are in the centre of town that have a small premises but high rates? Is that what a larger grant will come in to assist them? I think so. So, like I say, I suppose we've got savings for a rainy day, and this is a bit of a storm. So that's what they're there for. Yeah. But again, I have to be positive and think we'll come back. People will come back out. I don't think it's the end of the world. There's no zombies around.
Not yet.
So we'll all bounce back, and we have to make provisions to close and keep staff and reopen in the near future.
I know a lot of people have been saying about buying vouchers, and you mentioned that someone had come in to buy a voucher. I mean,
people do. People are buying vouchers, and even some people have moved their bookings from end of the month or periods in April to come earlier, so they don't miss out. They want to support when they can, because it's a bit of a grey area at the moment of going out. So we have sold a few vouchers, which is great. Yeah, it just shows support from people. And then a lot of restaurants are doing takeaway stuff as well. Yeah,
I've seen that. Is that something that you would consider doing or not?
I don't know. I've thought about it. We'll see how things pan out. Yeah, and speak to the staff. I mean, I couldn't do it if I were to launch it and do it successfully and make it worth our while. Then I'd have to speak to the staff and come up with a plan. Yeah.
So how many people have you got here? How big is your team? How many people are you worrying about?
I think we've got up to 18 on the books. Yeah. So, like I say, it's small, but everyone has families and lives to lead and responsibilities. So, trying to look after, not let anyone down. Don't want to let anyone down. Yeah.
And we talked earlier about social media. I mean, I feel like social media is a lot to blame for a lot of the hysteria that's going on at the minute. I don't know what your thoughts on it are from a restaurant owner, chef's perspective. You'll have seen people posting their thoughts on there.
Yeah, it's quite exhausting, really. I'm not great on social media. I should be better. But I do obviously look at it a lot. I don't post a lot. But it's like I say, it's exhausting. There's so much information out there, so many comments. I think you kind of have to take a bit of a break from it, to be honest. I've got a friend my best friend lives in Australia, and he's worried about what's happening in England because he's hearing so much stuff, and he keeps asking me about how it's going, and he's the press is saying over there that Europe's so badly affected, and what are England the measures that England are putting in place. So he's getting worried, and he's saying he's just turned his phone off because it's doing his editing. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much sometimes. People panic. It does ensue panic.
It does feel a bit information overload, but then not the answers that you are looking for.
There's a lot of information, but not many answers. Exactly. Yeah. Well said. Yeah, it's still a grey area. If he the government told people not to come out, at least it would give businesses at least they knew what to do. It's that grey area of morality, I think, which is uncomfortable.
Well, on Monday I was in a Wetherspoons and it was packed.
Yeah. So some delivery driver said that today. Oh, Wetherspoons are really busy. So
it's very confusing.
It's
very, very confusing.
It's up to individuals, I suppose. But then, how do you know if you're carrying this disease and you pass it on to people, and then are they just being blasé? Are we being blasé by staying open? It shows we don't care, but we do care. We do what we can. Is to the massive amount of, we're always clean and tidy. We have an open kitchen. We've nothing to hide. So that's not a question of cleanliness, and it's more a case of moral conduct. And are we allowing things to thrive just by opening? It's just not. Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I know. I said I was coming to see you today, and it instantly was like, do you need to go and do that? Is it unnecessary travel? I'm like, what? Yeah. It's really hard to get your head around that people aren't supposed to go and see other people. Like, it's a very difficult thing to change in your mind, isn't it? So yeah, definitely. I was listening to Radio 2 yesterday, Jeremy Vine, so he's great, and he had a caller about their I think one of their callers' fathers has died, and they had to cancel the funeral, and they couldn't. When they saw their brothers, they didn't want to hug each other because they've heard all these rumours about them passing the diseases on, and they're just how things like that. You just don't even think how it affects people's things that have already happened a few weeks ago, and how it's separating even more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Socially, yeah, it's just uncharted territory, isn't it? Yeah. We're just we're kind of hanging on what the government say and what they tell us to do, but they're kind of not telling us to do exactly what to do. Yeah. And your cancellations, have you had people ringing up saying, "Oh, I want to move it to a different dates," like you mentioned, or have you actually had them ringing saying, like, should I come? Should I not come? Have you actually had people?
Yeah, we've had people asking, is it okay to come? And cancellations, well, just cancelling because of on Monday night, everything was because of recent advice. We are cancelling and apologising, trying to postpone for other dates. So yeah, we've had everything. The cancellations because of Monday's announcement. People bringing it forward so they don't miss out, which is great. People moving it back because they want to come at a later date when they think it's going to be over. But yeah, it was to be expected. Yeah, fortunately.
And not to put you on the spot too much, but say let's give it 3 months down the line. Okay. What sort of damage is this going to do to the hospitality industry? Because annoyingly, it was everything hospitality-wise is great, and everything's, especially I don't know about like in York and stuff, and
there's a massive buzz around York, isn't there?
So,
but we've been great. We've had some great restaurants for years. It just seems to have been the last couple of years. It's really been noticed throughout the country. What effect will it have on hospitality in general? I've just got to be hopeful and think that if the government are giving grants to help pay wages and to help pay bills, and you can stop, you're going to lose, depending on how big your business is, you're going to lose a lot of money in stock unless you're going to go down the takeaway route or just gift it to people in need. I don't know, but you're going to lose some money somewhere and then just stop and start again. If the aid's there, then hopefully not many will, succumb to this and fail. I'm just thinking, I just hope people will survive, really. If the aid's there, then they can. That's what I think.
Yeah. But I mean, as an industry, we said before, it's not the only industry that's affected, and don't want it to be tunnel that you're just thinking about yourself and not. There's so many
restaurants, but then they say the leisure industry. Obviously, there's cinemas that are just shutting. Theatres, like one of our clients he's a world famous opera singer, believe it or not, and he just has no work now. He can't travel, and he can't go and do theatres. He can't go and perform. So it's not just restaurants; it's just socialising in general, which is the most natural thing to do is now not allowed.
Yeah.
That's why it's bizarre.
Yeah. And obviously with other industries having to follow suit and not be able to pay people and things like that, then that money that people spend in restaurants, people are now stockpiling that for other things as well. So there's other effects of other industries having this problem. So it's not just, no one's coming, but if you don't have the money to come either, that's an issue. So
yeah, as in people staying in and not earning as much money to then spend when the pandemic's over. Yeah. Again, it comes down to how much assistance we're going to get so that people can almost live, and it's almost just like having been forced to stay in, and you're not spending money, you're not going out to spend money, so the money will hopefully still be there when you're allowed or whatever to come back out, and it's safe, or you're advised that you can start going out and socialising again. I just wait. I do. Obviously, I've never paid so much attention to the government in my life until the last couple of weeks. Well, no, I do a bit as a business owner. There's certain things that I'll always look at how it affects, I suppose, the business directly, which then affects me and my staff and my family. But it more so now is just you're kind of hanging on every word, what they're going to say, and how does that impact now, and the knock-on effects for, like you say, how we get out of this. It could be economic disaster, but that's what I thought Tuesday morning. But then after the announcement, then that changed, because they're dealing with it as much as they can, and then the knock on, and then they'll translate it down to us. So again, we wait to see what happens today, I suppose.
Well, it's like every day you wake up and you look at the news and you're like, what's happened overnight? Is there anything that's, because it's changing so rapidly. I think that's what's so frightening, is you prepare one day for something, then the next day it's changed again, you've got to prepare again. So it's just a constant, like you're constantly trying to keep up with everything. I know we've seen on social that so Hospitality Action charity
right,
are saying that they're obviously there for people that unfortunately do lose their jobs, and I know a lot of chefs are trying to encourage people to just donate a little bit so that what the government can't subsidise, that these charities can subsidise. Is that something that you're on board with, and that
I've not noticed that. Like I say, I do look at social media a bit, but then I'm just like, it does my head in a bit. I just kind of stop for a while. So
this kind of workers a bit lower down the chain, that like live day to day, like they don't have disposable income.
Saying, getting rid of them, dismissing them. Well, that's brutal, isn't it? But in that respect of Hospitality Action supporting them, then definitely I agree with that. 100%. It's the companies that had been so cutthroat to do that, when there could be some scheme coming out to assist that they didn't need to do that. I think that's the problem, is maybe just assessing it, a bit more humanely. Yeah.
But no, obviously it's good that there are outlets that are supporting people where this is going to have a massive effect.
I appreciate not everyone can do that, and some will have to say, look, we have to do this. The figures just don't match up, and then when we reopen, we want you to take you back on. So I appreciate some places will have to do that. But commenting on Skosh, we're a small team, and I'm going to look after them as best I can.
Which is obviously great to hear, and I'm sure there's a lot of independents like you guys that can do that, which is amazing. So it's just, I suppose it sounds very doom and gloom, doesn't it? We're just talking about the worst case scenarios for all of these millions of hospitality workers. So, and then obviously everybody else on top of that. So it's just interesting to get kind of your take on it, and I think it would be good for people to hear that your story actually is positive for now, which is great.
I'm trying to be positive. So that's all I can be, really. It's just very, very bizarre. And, again, just back to morally, the closures of things. It'd be good if the government would just say, look, this is what you need to do. Because that's what's really doing my head in, and other, I'm sure lots of chefs and restaurateurs who are Yeah, what to do? It's not fair, really. A lot of other countries have implied that is a necessity, and we're not getting that. So, yeah, it's wrong. I don't agree with that at all. Yeah.
Away from the doom and gloom, you did mention that obviously, and whilst I've got you, I'd like to talk about Skosh and how it is a brilliant restaurant. And you said that you are a busy little restaurant. You know, whenever I last minute always try and get in here, it's always absolutely packed. So when did you open Skosh? How old is Skosh as a restaurant?
Skosh will be 4 years old in June. So...
And I bet 4 years ago, if someone told you you'd be sat here now talking to me about coronavirus and the impact on the restaurant.
The apocalypse, sorry, I'd be like, nah. But yeah, 4 years. It's flown by, absolutely flown by, yeah.
I can't believe it's 4 years. So for the purposes of this, I live just outside of York, and I've obviously been coming here since you first opened, so I can't believe that it's been 4 years. But for people that don't know Skosh, where have you been? Obviously, it's amazing. What sort of restaurant is it? What's it like? What could they expect when all of this madness is over? If they come and visit you guys, what's Skosh all about?
Well, it's quite a relaxed, informal little restaurant. It's heavily Asian influenced, kind of snacky, small plates, sharing style, and we're quite a cool little place. Really busy. We're busy. We've got a good atmosphere. I think that helps. We've got an open kitchen, so people like the relaxed atmosphere, the kind of quality food, but at a price point it's not expensive, I don't think. And yeah, it's a good atmosphere, good service as well, of course. I mean, good food, good service go hand in hand. Good atmosphere. We're just a small dining room, so only feet about 35-40 at one sitting. So when it's full, it's banging. Yeah, we have some good music on, and yeah, it's just good fun. Really serious. We're serious and we're professional, obviously, but it's not formal. Yeah.
And it's just took off really, and it's a really nice success story. I think that because
I hope so. I hope it keeps going. Yeah. After this,
we're keeping positive, Neil.
Yeah, it will.
But yeah, in terms of that, it's probably it exceeded your expectations and more as your first solo venture in York, which, let's be honest, 4 years ago, I don't think the dining scene was where it is currently. There wasn't so many options. It's quite touristy. Yeah. There's a lot of chains.
Yeah.
But you have opened something very unique, and people have come to that. So for you, it must be, if you look back 4 years and think about that first day when you opened.
Like 4 years ago now, this would be a building site.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's mad. Yeah, 4 years ago there wasn't a lot in York. A lot of chains. I think Koshon was around then, and Melton's has always been around. That's a great restaurant.
I've not been there, but I've heard really good things. So.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, very good. It's been, I think, 20 odd years. It's been around. Rattle was open, so there was a few, but it definitely kicked off last year or the year before. Just got more. I think got more recognition nationwide for York. But yeah, this has exceeded expectations. Yeah.
And where you're based is a street called Micklegate, which for me, being from York, is associated with the Micklegate Run, which is basically just starting at one end of the street, and it's full of bars and starting at one end and going to the other. Obviously York is very well known for hen parties, stag parties, things like that. So to have your restaurant here and attract people to this part of town is amazing. So
it was questioned by, especially when I was looking for premises, estate agents were a bit like, Micklegate, are you sure? But then, to be honest, it was what I had in mind, would that work in a building? If that was Micklegate or anywhere, any certain parts of the city, then so be it. But this one worked, and also rent. I wanted to open a restaurant. I had a budget. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be massive, so I didn't want the bar to start with. It was just a dining room with an open kitchen. So that's it. It fit in this. It was to fit in this building. And Micklegate is colourful. Yeah, it's a colourful street, which I kind of like actually. I kind of like there's the race course down the road, so when the races are on, swarms of people like stagger down, and there's not as many bars as there used to be. There's probably 3 or 4 pubs.
I've definitely been one of those people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too. And then we're in the middle, and then there's 3 or 4 more, and then you kind of off into town over the bridge. Whereas it used to be double that, 10 years ago. But so the street is changing. A lot of the hustle and bustle, shall we say, of like stag and hens go into the city centre. So it's normally race days where it's pretty manic round here, but we've got a sports bar next to us, so most weekends there's a bit of a ruckus somewhere, but which is not ideal, but it's just we're in a suburban setting, so we don't get any trouble in here or anything. It's just it's colourful. I quite like it. Yeah.
I like that, colourful. It's a nice way to describe it.
To say it. Yeah.
So what is your success kind of down to then? Because you don't go heavy on PR or marketing or anything like that, do you? You don't,
No.
So is it word of mouth? Is it social? But then you said you're not huge on social, so
because I'm not very good at it. I'm just not good at it. Some people have a natural affinity, so I suppose just to be. No, I can do it. I just don't do it as often as I know I should. So there's a lot of content here. We change dishes. We could change a couple of dishes a week. So, and I could take 2 dishes off the menu and then change them and 2 more dishes be on. I've not put any of that on social media, which does my head in because I think I should be putting that out there. But it's just time. I'm thinking about a million things at once, and I just don't. That needs to change, to be all honestly. I need to kind of reassess things more as a business than having my head like tunnel vision almost to a certain degree. I need to kind of change that a little bit. I suppose that would be progression for me a few years down the line. But we're different, so we attract a lot of different clientele, young people, students, older people, a lot of residents, a lot of locals. People travel from all over the country now to come and eat here because we do something different. And again, we're not expensive. So I think that we cover a few demographics, and yeah.
What about guides and accolades and things? Because you've had some great accolades over the past few years, and I know I spoke to you at the Restaurant Awards when you're in the top 100, and you like, oh, this is mad when you were there, like looking around the room, and this like Skosh is here, and
over there, and Claude Bozin. It's like what? Tom Brown, he was there. Woo!
Which is, it's quite nice. It's quite humble. It's nice to hear. It's like you don't, bizarre. That you're in that room and you're like, wow. But I know what an amazing chef you are, what an amazing restaurant this is, and I've been banging on to Stefan from Restaurant Mag for about the north, and you should go to Skosh. So it was really nice to see the inclusion of Skosh in a list like that, because I think it's very much deserved. But it's really nice to bump into you and see you, like you said, you're like, have you seen who's over there?
Yeah, it was a good night. Yeah, it was surreal. It was an amazing experience. And that was one of, I suppose, the biggest. We've got a few accolades. I mean, Rosette's Michelin Bib Gourmand is massive. I'm really proud of that. We've had a Yorkshire Life Restaurant of the Year and Chef of the Year, and I mean, there's been quite a lot. It's been incredible, more than I could have imagined. But the Restaurant Magazine Awards was, because it was almost like highbrow for an event, because there's like world famous chefs. Let's be honest, world famous chefs, people doing with restaurants that just so original and unique in the whole whole of Europe. I mean, these are lots of incredibly talented people, and it was just quite surreal to be considered part of that mix. It was bizarre, but amazing. Yeah.
It's nice to see, I think, more recognition for the North, and I think the whole, it's just very London centric. I think that's going away now. I don't know what you think, but I feel like it's not stuck in that little
Definitely
bubble.
Not. No, there's always going to be more of a condensed amount of restaurants because it's such a large city, you know, the capital of the country. But for a lot of interesting independents are dotted around everywhere. There's a lot in the north now. Yeah, so I do think that, it's certainly changed, and I suppose there's a lot more scope, a lot more creativity, a lot more people wanting to open restaurants, and that's just kind of like mushroom clouded almost all over the country. Yeah, a lot in Ireland as well, isn't there? Yeah. Loads. Really, yeah.
I know, hopefully we can put a pause on that and then press play again and it'll all carry on as normal after all of this.
Oh, I forgot, coronavirus, yeah. Damn you eating that bat or whatever it was.
And we don't want to spread rumours.
No, just go on social media for that. Yeah.
And your team, these accolades and things, have they all been with you from the beginning, the majority of them? And I know most of them to me are pretty familiar faces. Have they been here for...
I mean, I've had Sam's been with me from day one. There's been another lad for 2 years in the kitchen. A couple of KPs have been with us for a while. I think, staff retention's quite good. Maybe I'm not as harsh as I used to be. I think... I kind of...
They're all listening now.
Yeah, no, it's all gone quiet back there, hasn't it? I think to set up... I mean, there's very high standards, don't get me wrong, but I suppose it's more trying to be fair as an employer as well, to give people more breaks that they deserve and a kind of fairer pay. I don't know, things just it's changed for me. When I was a chef and I was getting beasted doing loads of hours, when I became an employer, I didn't want to employ people and run it like that. I kind of knew what I didn't want to do. I suppose I learned from others what I didn't want to do. So maybe I've created something which is a bit more friendly environment to work in, but we still have high standards. We're still very busy. It's still a lot of pressure to do what we do, but it's all achievable, and you're not being drilled 24/7 in order to do that.
I mean, and you are an open kitchen as well, so it's got to be a nice vibe for the customers.
Too much, no. They do comment on how well organised and quiet it is, which is good. And then some people say, do you ever swear? And ask us to swear on demand, which is a bit bizarre. Do a Gordon Ramsay or something. But no, it's not like that. We're professionals, so we get on with the job, and we don't have to scream or shout, or I don't have to swear at anyone too much. Yeah.
No, I've got to say, actually, that is something you almost don't notice that you guys are there. Even when you sit at the counter, which is obviously right in the mix. You are all kind of head down, everything's...
Concentrating, it's professional. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But anyway, I suppose my point was that obviously you've had chefs with you or staff with you for a while, so it's not just you that's achieved all of this, so it must be nice for them also to be like, the accolades that have come, and like a team vibe. Yeah,
massive team effort. It wouldn't be possible without all the team, no, so it's... the more we did achieve and will achieve is all, it bodes well for everybody. It's a combined effort to keep pushing, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah. And
I think on that note, obviously you have said that you're going to look after your team, which is amazing, and I think it's great that Skosh is in a position that it can do that. And despite everything that's going on, hopefully in a couple of months I'll be messaging you asking how things are going, and you'll be back open and full.
Now I'm on tape. God knows what's going to happen. But no, it's like I say, it's not going to go on forever. It's just an awful situation that we're trying to assess day by day and put a plan in place quite soon about how we're going to just, have to probably knock it on the head for a bit and support everyone, and then come back stronger with refreshed minds and new ideas and creativity and just keep going.
I think it's nice to end on a positive, and I think you would say this to anyone else who owns a restaurant or a business, that don't panic just yet and try and do it day to day rather than it's the end of the world, it's going to be the end of the world forever. It's, what's bad today won't be bad tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll go. I think it'll. Well, this upward curve. I don't know if we're at the top of it yet, but I think it's gonna be a pretty stale atmosphere socially for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know. I can only look at how it's affected other countries first and what they've done and how they're progressing, and that's what we will do. So the fact that it's been in China for 3 months and people are going back to work, that says that we will achieve that as well. And then trusting the government that all their measures in place are allowing us to do that. And we have no other information to tell us otherwise, really. Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, the hospitality restaurant industry, it will be fine. It will weather the storm and it will come back as good as ever. I
think so, yeah. And I think if businesses can if we have to close and just batten down the hatches and get some money, some funding to pay the bills essentially, and then reopen, people will be absolutely lapping up going out to socialise and eating and drinking and trying new places they've maybe not tried before, and restaurants might develop differently in the time to think about things. They might reassess things and make changes that make them more appealing. I don't know. There might be light at the end of the tunnel, and businesses will continue to thrive, I think. Yeah, I do hope, yeah.
Well, I think we all definitely hope that's it. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to end it on that note. And like I said, positive vibes, and I'm sure everything will be absolutely fine. But thank you very much for talking to me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download. And finally, if you like what we do, whether it's our podcast or our videos or even our features, please head over to our Patreon page and support us there. This episode of Grilled is sponsored by Rationale, your leading provider in multifunctional hot food preparation equipment. Register now for a free Rationale live demo at www.rationale-online.com.